You aren't rich because you can't accept the truth about your situation and face the mirror. You have no capacity to tolerate criticism without making some sort of defensive move. There are two things that people generally cannot be held accountable for: their bank balance and their body mass index. That being the case, you have zero justification for not doing so. Now, for today's video, we will be elaborating 4 reasons on why you remain poor. But before that, this is Investing Path. And before we begin this topic, please make sure to give this video a like, subscribe, and click the bell button as well to stay updated for more of our content. Now, we won't waste a minute of your time, so let's get started. It will be embarrassing if you still haven't figured out how to create money in 2022. Allow us to add a major proviso because we know many folks who live comfortably on far less than we do. We can tell that they are happy with where they are in life because of the expressions on their faces. When you meet someone's gaze, you learn a great deal about them, including the fact that they are only saying this to help them deal with their current predicament. Or do they really mean it when they say things like, "Yeah, I make more than enough money"? You know, we're not disturbed at all by a fat person who looks at himself in the mirror. One thing that really gets under our skin is when overweight folks give you a list of 101 excuses for why they are overweight, claiming that it is their metabolism or some other external factor. The fact that they have to face themselves in the mirror every night and accept the reality that they lie to themselves makes me aware of the bleak existence these individuals must lead. Everyone has their own faults and they all lie to themselves. We can look at the issue objectively and decide that the benefits exceed the risks, so we've opted to drink today and we're fine with it. What we mean is that when someone gives us criticism or constructive criticism, we can look at things objectively and evaluate the situation without being aroused. The first reason you are poor is that you can take an objective look at your life without feeling your fragile ego being crushed and without feeling the need to come up with a list of 101 reasons for why you are in the position you are in. Changing one's identity or adopting a new one is something that seems to be generally accepted in the world today, which makes the concept of identity something of a paradox. It's possible to identify as a fan of one sport one year, and then of another the next year. So let us get this straight. If we wake up tomorrow and decide to identify as a girl without making any other changes to who we are, the woke liberals will applaud us. But if we said, "Hey, tomorrow you can get up and quit identifying as poor and start identifying as rich," they would crucify us. Let's break down the modern notion that one's gender is an identity that can be changed with a simple awakening, but that one does not identify with their economic status. Nobody who is financially destitute likes to think of themselves as impoverished. Indeed, the world in which we live is quite comical. The way you handle your money is absolutely reflective of who you are. Keep in mind that we probably wouldn't have said this if we were talking 200 years earlier. To be more precise, ever since the English Bible was first translated from Latin in 1840 or thereabouts, in the last few hundred years or more, information has gradually begun to become more accessible to the general public. Individuals are free to pick up books and begin reading immediately. But the point is that even a century ago, things were different. The same knowledge that helped one viewer win $1 million is now available to everyone watching this on the internet. They have access to the same data that everyone else does, but they can seem to move forward. If you're wondering why, it's because you absolutely see yourself as someone who is poor. It has found a permanent home in the deepest recesses of your unconscious. It is possible that you were brought up with the idea that those who cheat and lie in order to gain financial success are the ones who ultimately prosper. Also, keep in mind that whoever taught you that might be using it as a protection strategy. It is important to be able to look at your financial status objectively and determine that you are not where you want to be. Even if you don't have a lot of money, when you wake up, you should still be able to readily identify as rich and adopt the attitude and character traits of that version of yourself. It is true that if you change your name, you'll have to adjust your lifestyle accordingly. Many people persist in their old ways of thinking about money and identity despite overwhelming evidence to the contrary. The problem with trying to force something is that it pushes back, as is the case with money. When you believe it is scarce and hence try to hoard it. You shouldn't strive to coax money into your hands. Rather, you should attract it. The past few years have been greatly overstated, by the way. It's been going on for a century with no sign of stopping. Since its infinitability has been demonstrated, those who either despise or partake in the game should take the money they earn and invest it in something more substantial. The world's monetary system is kind of like a parallel universe, and all of the elites and leaders in the parallel universe congregate. The only thing a grain of sand represents is fate that is valuable or can be exchanged for something else. To get real, useful items, you need to save up enough money of this fake currency. So the next reason you are poor is because you have not educated yourself on what money is, where it comes from, the monetary system as we know it, and unfortunately the corollary to that is you have this fear about money. You imagine a lack of funds where there actually is none. You must realize that you constantly pay someone, either in attention or in money, or that both of these things eventually go to the person who has successfully gained your attention or your money. You need to realize that you are a consumer and will remain a consumer unless you create something that the market values. This might be a service or a product. You need to realize that you, too, are a consumer on YouTube and TikTok, and that this is completely fine with us. In addition to buying things, keep in mind that not making anything of value, either digitally or in the physical world, is the ultimate cause of financial hardship. And so, to wrap up this video, we thank you guys so much for watching. This is Investing Path. And if you like this video, then might as well leave us with a thumbs up. And while you're at it, click the subscribe and bell button to stay updated for more of our personal investment and financing videos. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you soon.